another Elden Ring stream, but there's something strange it seems.
Wait, hello? This just in.
Rattle on the mic and boss in the studio. Don't check your dial, they're coming in style. So pull up a chair and get yourself prepared for an Elden Ring stream. Starting now.
Oh, click the button a little early. Yeah, what a pro. Hey now, say now. Hello there and welcome back, Tarnished. Pleased to have y'all here. There is one problem though. Y'all are maidenless. Just kidding. Y'all are stellar, sensational, and present for another issue of MoonSaucer. Yeah, all right. This is a weekly, when we can, weekly stream on Elden Ring Lore, where we ask the real questions, like, what is the deal with Celivis's basement? Is Radagon a dragon? What was Mikola actually doing on that island? Most importantly, are you Team Pizza Roll or Team Pizza Bagel? And I didn't get to ask our guest last time, so don't think you're off the hook. We're doing a follow-up to our last stream. It is kind of a big topic where we were asking Tarnished, what's up with that? In so many words. Just kidding. To elaborate, we're throwing around our thoughts about what is a Tarnish. What makes someone a Tarnish with a capital T? We here at MoonSaucer are continuing our podcast tradition that we started with the Golden Inquisitor. It's called IRL, Inquisition Radio Live. We await his return as he is tending to matters exploring the wilds of Caelid. That being said, we are thrilled to be here. And with that, hello to the chat. We would love to read your takes on this subject. And remember, if you want to get in there like swimwear and chat with us on the air, just hop into the Golden Inquisition Discord server, hit up the round table on hold, and we will grant you grace and bring you on to share your theory on Lands Between and whatever it is we're talking about this week and the nature of our tarnishosity. Yeah, we'll just go with that. As I said, last week was a tough one for me earlier, so we had to skip it. Had to skip that weekend, but here we are again. And furthermore, we are incredibly lucky to be graced with the privilege of having our two guests back, starting with the glorious and sharp Annekkipu. She has a fantastic...
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
She has a fantastic lore channel, and her research and attention to detail are unmatched. But I gotta ask you, pizza roll or pizza bagel?
I have never tasted any of these, so
Well, that's the show. Thanks everybody for coming out. It's okay. I mean, well, shoot.
kick me out.
I didn't anticipate that response. But not to be ignored, we also have the mighty and philosophical NotGodwyn, the God Muffin. How you doing, bud?
Doing great. Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, man, thanks for being here. Thank yous are all on this side of the microphone, my guy. His channel is some of the most interesting takes on what is going on in the Lands Between, and he explains the processes that the Elden Ring universe operates by. Same question to you, my guy. Roll or bagel?
I'd have to say bagel, even though I've enjoyed a good one at school now and then. Those old pizza rolls, the bagels just hit harder.
Mm-hmm. Well, I see. Okay. And as always, where we got the sauce, we got the boss. Joining me is the boss, Saucer. What up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. I was going to say, now would be the time to talk. Hell yeah, buddy. How you doing this week?
Doing good. Thinking that instead of deciding on the pizza thing, why not fuse them both?
A pizza bagel roll?
Oh.
You're going to get us kidnapped by the CIA talking like that, man. That's...
I wish.
That's a little too close to the truth. A little too close to the singularity. But what is it? Roll or bagel? What team?
I mean, if I need to choose rolls, I guess.
There he is. All right. And I am Le Rattle. Adieu. So, to really lock in and on what we are doing this week, let me say again that we're continuing a conversation from last episode about Tarnished, and the nature of the tarnishedness in the Elden Ring world. This week we can still throw in some thoughts, but we are going to bring in a few topics, as we aren't the only ones who were brought back to the Lands Between. We are part of a squad, apparently. A posse. We already know we aren't the only ones who have tried to brandish the Elden Ring, as it is merely a cycle. Was this cycle always carried out by a Tarnished, or is Tarnished running around doing this? I'm not too sure. But we would love to know what you think in the chat. But one of the major things I wanted to bring up is we're not the only ones mentioned in the opening scenes of this game. A few names were dropped, and perhaps I was thinking, like, looking into these folks can help give us some kind of clarity or that type of thing to what is it we're doing here and what's been going on. And last time we seemed to have a good amount of fun, so it's really, really great. Really, really great to have y'all back. So, yeah. Heck yeah. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I guess I'll jump in here. As far as...
Oh, wait, Rattle. I think you're forgetting something.
Oh, that doesn't surprise
Is
me.
he?
What'd I do?
Pizza roll or pizza bagel?
Oh, Hot Pocket.
Yeah.
Hot Pocket all day. No, I'm a pizza
What
roll
What the hell
guy.
is a hot pocket? What is that?
Say pocket, that's hot.
Where do you live, bro? Like, where have you not heard of this stuff? No, I'm team pizza roll. Though, you know, like, I wouldn't kick a pizza bagel out of bed, but I'd be like, hey, just be yourself, man. Just be a bagel. Get you some cream cheese. You don't need to have this sauce and pepperoni. And the bagel would be like, you know what? You're right, big dog. I'm like, yeah, you're king.
I'm with Boss now. I say roll through bagel.
Yep.
I'm sorry, everybody. So let's move on. Moving into it, I guess I'll just throw this out here real quick. Couple questions for you guys, and I guess for myself, though I haven't quite decided. I'm really curious what y'all have to say. Is two things. When we look at the opening cinematic of the game, I'm under the impression that this is their first foot forward with people who just bought their shiny new disc and they're watching it. So everything in here is deliberate, it's exact, and they intend for it to be analyzed like by the pixel. Okay, so I'm looking at all the pictures, I'm listening to every word, and I guess I get stuck on two questions. Did all of these people come back at once? Or was it like one at a time and nobody's really succeeded at anything, or nobody's pursued the cycle? Or, you know, did everybody just rise from the dead at the same time? And then another one is, what is renown? In a sense. So it's, as we see this opening cinematic on here, it doesn't seem completely clear why Grace chose who they chose. And we're going to kind of like spend a little bit of time on each one as we go through the show and kind of share our thoughts on this. But I guess I just wanted to start with these kind of generalities and that question mainly first. Do y'all think that everybody rose at the same time?
I do not.
I agree with Boss on this one. I agree with Boss, but if I had to explain my take, it would be because Vare is clearly standing where he is, waiting for more losers to believe him and do whatever he wants them to do, but I think it sort of implies that there's a progression.
Yeah. I kind of at first thought that everybody just kind of rose up at the same time, and this is just the cycle. But yeah, it seems like Grace is bringing them back one by one, and they're either pursuing the mission, doing the assignment, or they're going about their own ways of doing things, or maybe each one of them got held up by the Door of Thorns. and they're all back at the round table hold like, huh, what is it that we do next? Maybe Gideon is throwing them off. Maybe Gideon was the first to be risen and telling them that it's America that wants us to suffer forever, so don't even bother. Maybe I'm not exactly sure.
What?
I do have. Oh, I'm sorry, Godwin. I wanted to throw in one thing, and then I wanted to address why you think otherwise, anyways. So, if you would allow me, I wanted to quickly throw in one thing. Right when you started the intro to this topic, you mentioned, oh, this cinematic is meant for us to be introduced to the game, and it is the truth that is happening there. Although I do think that it already has a bias to it, it has a narrator to it, and we should not necessarily believe at a face value what we're being shown. For me, mostly because of Mog slander that we learn later was not necessarily as it was portrayed in the cinematic.
That's a really fire point. That's actually a really good
Yeah.
point because they make Mog
What do you
look.
wanted to say, Garipu? Oh
Yes.
no, I said Garipu again. No.
No, you outed
Godwin.
him! Change!
Mhm.
Not Godwin, please explain to us why you think otherwise. Why do you think they're all awaking at the same time?
Yeah, God Muffin,
Oh,
what do you got?
I just remembered that in cut content, Godfrey was in the round table hold, and you could talk to him, and it was just chill. He was where the two fingers were, actually.
Like in the fortified manor, or like in the actual
Oh,
round table hold? Are you talking
oh,
about
in the round, yeah, in Melena's round table hold, the one we always transport to.
Gotcha. So one of the things that I kind of noticed about this was whether everybody was resurrected at the same time or separately. We see in each one of their photos that photos, paintings, drawings, whatever it is, scenes. I'll say scene. That you see a little Grace pop up, like hey, listen, to each one of them, and it kind of vexes me. What is Grace's criteria for recruiting or resurrecting Tarnished? Because I don't feel that it was exactly heroes. I mean, you look at, well, some of them at first I thought, well, maybe it's just dead people. But if you look at a couple of things, like Fia wasn't resurrected. She's just there booed up with, Mr. Corpse King, and it looks like she just looks over and there's Grace hanging out over there. And the Dung Eater, I mean, yeah, he's probably resurrected, but he was hanged in a public square and people hated him. He was called loathsome. In the Japanese, they actually used the swear word. So, like, if you wanted for dung, for poop, they called him the shit eater, and people seem to really dislike this person, as we see that stuff's being flung at them while they're being while they're in the gallows, kicking it. So it makes me think, like, what is it? Is it just renown? That kind of qualifies somebody to be resurrected? Is that what you think Grace is looking for? If y'all have
Criteria is, yeah, the criteria is actually who has the better story. That was the whole ending of the Game of Thrones show. Is it doesn't matter who's the most powerful or who's the most fitting to rule. It's who actually has the most entertaining story on how they got there.
Like, who met their demise with the most aura, most imprint left on the world, so to speak.
Yeah.
Could be. I believe
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
their purpose somewhat as well.
Kind of like Godwin's take on it, because it reminds me a lot of sort of like classic mythological outlook on these things. A lot of the times, gods just like to be entertained, and they would not necessarily choose the most righteous person or the strongest person. They would just choose whoever entertained them the most. But personally, and I think continuing with the take I tried to express on the last episode, I think it's whoever has the strongest will to change something in the world.
Oh, I see what you mean. That's a good
Could
take
be.
on that.
That's why Bogart is chosen. He wanted to do a era of prawn.
That kind of
He
leads
wanted
me
to open his restaurant.
Yep.
era of prawn. I like that a lot. So that kind of leads me into my next little point here. Like, so every tarnished here. So what is a tarnished referring to? Somebody that had gold eyes and their eyes were dimmed, as it's kind of described along in the game, or is a tarnished a resurrected person here to do this journey, do this quest, or just resurrected in general, or are those like was Boggart resurrected in the same way that we were, or were they a citizen of the lands between and they lost their gold in their eyeballs?
Do you have anything that you are willing to share, Rattle?
As far as so I think that I don't know. I get hung up on the idea of Boggart being brought back by Grace, and it makes me wonder. So was Boggart brought back with a little flake that lands in his hand, similar to us? Was Roderica brought back? If with what we talked about a couple episodes ago with the hoods and such, how like a red hood is given to an undesirable for them to go on a quest and such. It makes it so. Is somebody resurrected and then they just have families and generations of resurrected people like hey, Aunt Roderica is back, we've been waiting for her, damn, she died 200 cycles ago, and here she is again, and that's kind of what makes me pivot on what I think about what a tarnished is. Like, are there just regular royalty, aristocratic families, or any kind of family, honestly? Is Boggart just there doing barbecues and fish fries, and then their eyes dim? They just lose their gold. Is it resurrection that is the pass for it? And
Interesting. Oh yeah, Rattle. Sorry for interrupting. Jackal is asking in the comments if there's call-ins.
yeah, as always, get the round table on hold, my guy.
Yeah.
And that goes for anybody in the chat. If you're listening in the future, thank you. Love you being here. If you want to catch us live so that you can get on and share as well, it's 8 o'clock on Saturday evenings. That's 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. But yeah, so as like a reflex answer, I want to say that the people in the lands between have gold eyes. Okay, like if you have like a human form, like if you look like a human, like you're not a demi-human, you're not a beast, you have golden eyes. And I know that opens up a whole new bag of badgers as to what that could possibly mean. But a tarnish has lost that gold. So does everybody that have a human form are they all tarnished? They're obviously not. As like, for instance, we still have like Kenneth Haight, who I famously called a tarnished a few episodes ago when I was really nervous. And but
He's just a guy.
He still has his gold. He is not tarnished, and he talks to us like we are tarnished. And so like, what is that? And it makes me think that they're kind of separated. So it's a race of people that maybe came from Godfrey's lineage that had golden eyes, like Godfrey, not Horaloo, but Godfrey had
And his
golden
warriors.
eyes. And his what? And his warriors. Got you.
Yep.
Will we be bold enough to call them Highlanders?
Who knows? Maybe.
But at any rate, they lost that favor. They lost their grace, and now some are viable to be chosen to be brought back in order to do this cycle. But I think champions. I think there was a cycle before the Tarnished. I'd mentioned this on the last episode, how like the Tarnished are like a last resort, kind of like the Ashen ones in Dark Souls 3, kind of like the Hollows in Dark Souls 1. Like people that were called a quote unquote champion were the ones that were trying to do it at first, but nobody did it. And then none of the kids did it. None of the demigod goober kids did it. And so now Grace has nothing left but to bring back these tarnished people to maybe by resurrection. But there's so much to contradict even that line of thought. Like every time I feel like I'm going down like a hallway of solid logic, there's a dead end by direct lore, because there's also, and I know I'm yapping a lot, I'm really sorry, I'll get out of the way in a second, but there's also lore that suggests that this whole thing was a plan by America in the first place. Like you're gonna
Which is my personal belief. I align with that.
That it was planned.
That it was planned, and to answer the question that you asked before we start yapping, I do think that you have to be dead and then resurrected to be qualified as a tarnished. But I also think it is precisely the reason that there was a group of people kicked out of the lands between, so they can die and be resurrected, because it's sort of a spiritual way to be returned, to be summoned into that world. And, shamans, spiritual manipulation, all of that. Shade thrown on America. Definitely some sort of scheming going on there, but I do think you have to die, and to die, you have to be outside of Lands Between, because inside of the Lands Between, the Rune of Death was removed, and there is no death. All of these people there, they're kind of like in a weird state where they cannot truly die.
Yeah.
I'd argue that we're the only person that can bring true death to the lands. That's why I feel like we might have some weird attachment to the Glow-Mud Queen or some weird heritage. I constantly feel like the Rune of Destined Death is our rune because it fuses with us, and that's why it doesn't show up in our inventory.
That's a really interesting take on it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it feels like we're everyone's destined death.
Almost as if it's like, I remember talking to you and to Sloped Roof in the Discord. I'll take this opportunity real quick to say, anybody listening, find the Golden Inquisition Discord. You got some people there that are just some champions that would love to talk about stuff, and they're really easy to talk to. They have some really good ideas. And we're talking about death being a mechanism, and it kind of aligned to I used to think like nothing died in the Lands Between because the Rune of Death was taken away. That's why you got these these nobles just walking around all over the place. That's why you got rune bears and pooping out gold poop, because there's no reason for them to eat, but they still want to eat things, but they just grow and continue. Just all kinds of examples of this. But the Tarnished would be the only ones that could deliver that death, as if it was like a cycle that had to be implemented. Like it's something that wouldn't naturally happen. Do you think if the Rune of Death was still in place, like a demigod would come to a natural fate? Or was it there for a demigod to always have, or for a god to always like be killed and like progress a cycle, so to speak?
I think Radon was the whole linchpin in that operation to keep everyone's fate on pause, basically. So I feel Radon is a huge part of that, but also where the other part.
Right. So like, as in like Radon was a huge part of, like he was meant to be the next? Is that what you're saying?
Oh no, in so much as Radon was actually keeping everyone alive by putting fate on hold.
Oh, by stopping the stars.
Yes.
Gotcha.
He paused Destiny.
Man, man, that's a whole nother episode in itself, a whole another conversation in itself. Well, that being said, let's dive into the content we were going to talk about with these Tarnished. But real quick, we have a caller. We have the Jackal, and if he's listening, brace yourself. I'm about to pull you in here, bud. And yeah, let's see. Let's click here. Let's click there. All right, my man, Jackal, are you there?
I think my guy is muted and deafened.
He has spoken on the show before, so let's see here.
He is a smart cookie, so let's give him the 30-second rule.
Love it. Love it. Hey, Jackal, and somebody put in the chat, please. When he comes back, just type him up in the chat and we'll pull him back in. So, all right. So I kind of have an order here of. Oh well, there he is again. This is great. All right, heck yeah, cool. We got him back.
Great.
Let's pull him in. Howdy, bud.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, buddy. How are you?
Give me 1 second to. There it is. You hear me now?
Yeah, quietly. Oh, you having some
Right.
some technical difficulties over there?
Something's wrong with my audio and I can't hear anyone. Let me reset and then I'll let you bring me back in.
All right, sounds good, buddy. Just
Sure.
send a message or put it in the chat or something if you like.
All right, give me.
My man.
I guess he didn't hear that.
Figuring out this is top radio here going on. So I kind of have an order of Tarnished we could go through if y'all feel like you want to do this. And I wanted to start with Fia particularly, mainly because Fia wasn't dead.
I disagree with that immediately.
Oh, wow. Okay, objection.
Damn, for a second.
So Rattle, you believe that Fia stole this dude's ticket to paradise?
I don't believe she stole his because deathbed companions are supposed to give that to busted nobles. So I think deathbed companions is like, if you were to Google that, it would be a service of maidens that hugged a bunch of champions, and in hugging them they took a bit of their essence, and so now they're batteries full of champion essence. And when a noble meets their demise, they lay up with them, and through the same contact that the deathbed companion, like when Fia hugs us and we lose a piece of our health bar, by that same contact it's breathed into that body. So when we look at that photo, I think she's just in there chilling, hanging out with this corpse, alive and well, doing her job, doing what she signed up for, and that's putting the essence of champions into this king, into this old dead king. And it's my personal belief that Grace came for a champion whose essence she has inside of her. I don't know if the Grace came for Fia specifically. That's my little headcanon. She's got some echoes of a champion.
So she took a lot of dudes' tiny bit of their tickets to make a big ticket of her own.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, in a way. For sure. And I think
yeah.
I really like your take, because I think it makes her a little more complex, being a person not chosen by the grace, but taking the grace that was given to another person, another deceased person. But isn't there a need to be dead in the first place to accept the grace. So I think it is tightly connected to the very first question you asked, if they have to be deceased to be tarnished. But personally, I just think that Fia is not a human in the first place. I think that she is a another type of creature with different sorts of abilities, and I think that she is some sort of like supernatural thing that is in between life and death state in the first place.
Interesting.
Yeah, it sounds like another version of shamanism, to like
In a way,
help people. Yeah, to help people in their dying, like that.
I hear that. I hear that. Like we. I think. I think she could very well be human, like non-human, just a different type of life form entirely. But I don't, and maybe that's what it takes to be a deathbed companion. We do come across this topic in another place with the spirit ashes for is it Trisha? My lore brain is my internal Wikipedia on Elden Ring lore is failing me at the moment. But
Yeah, Trisha's the perfumer. Yeah.
yeah, the perfumer Trisha that states that
Also,
that's where the deathbed companion occupation ability came from and started with her because she would stay with the sick and the infirmed as they passed.
yes, it says it's not unlike the deathbed companion thing.
Oh,
Also,
it says not unlike.
Jackal.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's okay. Jackal said he might be good now to join us.
Oh, okay, cool. Let's do it. Let's get him in here. Click there. My man.
Hello.
Hey, Buckaroo, how you
My
doing?
furry guy.
Why is it? Hang on. Okay.
can you hear
Can
us,
you hear?
Jackal?
Now I can hear you, but it's doing something weird with my Bluetooth. But yeah, I can hear you guys now.
Sensational.
Great.
How you doing this evening, bud?
Anyway. Oh man, I'm in the about the tail end of my vacation here, and thought I'd uh, thought I'd throw down some mad knowledge before another 3-hour drive home.
Hey, please do.
Yeah. So what you got for us today?
Well, well, so since my setup is a little wonky, um, I wasn't able to like keep Discord up and the stream going at the same time. So the cutoff point was like the conversation of like who the who. So one of you mentioned that cycle was a tarnished a part of the cycle or something else. I had my own take on that and like why America or the gray system selects different tarnished. And last I had heard, it was I think it was Godwyn who was saying like the same reason like in Game of Thrones, whoever sat on the throne was the most interesting character, or at least the character with the most like um, meaningful story that leads them to the throne. Um, in the lands between, I think Grace is selected or at least given by America or whatever consciousness she's inhibiting, and it is sent towards Tarnished who only have like the barest potential to like become a murder hobo in the lands between, more or less. Um, because like uh, considering like for the other tarnished who can see grace, they are like very specifically psychopaths in their own right. Um, like even Gold Mask, who's just like completely who shuts down entirely around other people. Um, his only like base form of interaction because I don't even think he even he doesn't even acknowledge Corin. Like Corin will like read his fingers, but the Gold Mask is like focused, lasered in on communing with the Erd Tree and then fulfilling parts of a cycle that gestate his mending rune. I don't even need to describe the Dung Eater, and Fia is somewhat equally. Um, the point is, empathy is not a great attribute to be a tarnished. Um, I think it's just more along the lines that a tarnished is selected to become uh, welcome to the lands between because they show the various potential of having what it takes to meet the throne. It's very similar to like how the spirits in Dark Souls operate. Is that every player you see was a ghost in the past of their own world, um, more or less like going through the same rounds and motions that you were doing. Um, to reach a spot that they may or may not have been able to succeed at because the fire has been lit before and the age of darkness has been, proposed before, and we're still in the same, cycle.
I think you're
Interesting.
exactly right. I think you, Jacqueline, me, and Annekkipu are all right at the same time. I think it's Will, Story, and America's favorite at the same time.
I also like
I
Jekyll's take a lot, but I think it's because I also had this idea of like I felt the need to incorporate the fact that hey, we're all at the same time in these parallel worlds and we can jump between them in a ghost shape. So there is a part to it, but I wasn't able to articulate it. But I like yours, Jekyll.
I appreciate it, but there is like one discrepancy when I'm trying to like when I'm comparing this exact mechanic with Dark Souls and Elden Ring. Dark Souls at least has the precedent where like when you first speak to Solaire, he just flat out tells you like, "Hey, time shenanigans are about, that's why you're seeing somebody wearing my costume that isn't me." Um, but when you get to Elden Ring, it's a little less defined because you see events that like um there's events that are scripted specifically for the continuity of a single player adventure that like other players haven't trespassed this point because you're the first one to have done so based on these like met criteria. But then you meet a ghost who has also done this before, but you're also speaking to NPCs who are reacting to you having performed this task and the task's being performed for the first time. Like going for like Ronnie's ending, for instance, and all of the dialogue you have to go, NPC interactions you have to go through with that. Um, it's it's a little less like time shenanigans are happening in the lands between and more of a like multiverse different alteration of the same event like how Night Rain and Elden Ring is split. I think that's my theory on that.
Interesting. Did you use the term murder hobos earlier?
I did, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And I wondered sometimes if that's another thing that why tarnished are kind of looked down upon beyond just hey, you're not gold anymore. It's like if you're tarnished, then you're here to kill, because that's kind of what we do. Like just by purchasing the game and being the player, it's kind of what we're told to do. We just march through things. Um,
The the counter to that is that like um for instance there was a incantation that from the line of the two fingers where it's like barrier of like you basically can protect yourself against magic, fire, or lightning or sacred. Um, and it says I forget the direct quote, but basically it's the two fingers telling the tarnished, do not seek help from the knights, the monks, or the sorcerers. You are entirely on your own. And I think it's due to the fact that also like regardless of whether or not people have eyes, they can tell whether or not you are tarnished, even if your own eyes are covered. Um, I think the this is a land full of people so ingrained with like how things are and like how things should be, and given the fact that like they're experiencing a form of longevity because of like the immortality America tried to like impose upon the nature of the world itself. You have people who are so set in into their own society and their own ways that when we arrive as a Tarnished, who is a Lord contender for the way things will change, we are basically a beacon indicating to each of them that we are going to upset the status quo. We're going to upend and unroot all of their livelihoods and create a change that none of them would have ever wanted like centuries ago. And that's why they're attacking us. At least the ones who are thinking. Others are probably just so bestial. Like the pit bulls from Caelid just attack on sight. Um, but everyone else sees us as a threat to the status quo, especially Morgoth. Um, and so killing us on sight is basically their idea of protecting what little they can.
You know, you bring up status quo, and it made my thoughts start to get kind of fizzy as I look at the what may be in common between these five pictured Tarnish in scenes, um, and what they could have in common. You know, I talked about murder hobos a couple seconds ago because I was thinking, well, maybe it's proximity to death and the transition of life, but then Gold Mask pops up amongst them, and I'm like, well, I can't imagine Gold Mask necessarily being a murderer. And then you mentioned status quo. So is it possible that Grace could be separate from the Golden Order? Like the Golden Order is what is enacted by the agents currently powered by Grace, and maybe the thing that these five have in common, and perhaps us, the sixth, because we're brought in and guided by the two fingers, I suppose, with no renown whatsoever. Do all of these five characters have some kind of vendetta or some kind of way of disrupting not gold, but the Golden Order, like the regime and government system that's currently in charge?
So, so I'm going to answer this in like three parts. Um, in the first part, Grace and the Golden Order, I think, are distinct from one another, but they both represent a similar thread, and that is just like the raw power of the color gold. Um, Gold is this like life-giving, order-defining um, sort of benevolence. In fact, it's like the main color of just holy power, and even has like an intrinsic connection with lightning itself. Um, I think like they both come from the same stock, but like they both represent different things. Like the Golden Order is a set of laws and governance that is like imposed with some sort of like with some forethought that Radigan had taken all of his experiences from Liurnia and all of his knowledge from being a part of America and just basically created a more, I would say, streamlined, but a more easily digestible set of like faith and doctrine that is a lot more easier for a select group to maintain power with, because it's like, um, well, what's the word? Because I'm like trying to compare it to like the text from Da Vinci and all of that, but um, regardless, Grace and the Golden Order are different, but come from the same thing. With the five Tarnished, let's say, what was it? Those three, Gideon. I'm going to exclude Godfrey from this for a moment because his is a little different. Um, but each of the other Tarnished that were given a cutscene, each have their own ambition. With especially with Gideon before he kind of turns on the plan in our fight with him. um, each and every one of them has a reason to like install a vision of their own. Gideon has his own vision of like, well, he doesn't really explain it, but like there's a sense that like he does have an idea before he loses it to face us at the Erd Tree. But everyone else, maintains the vision long enough to gestate a mending rune, and supposedly dying from it, which is still hard for me to wrap my brain around, like why it kills them. But um,
It's the same thing.
the
It's the same thing that happens with sorcerers. Every time a sorcerer makes a new spell, they die, just like Thops did.
that's true. Um, the sorcerers are like, I think they do this as a means of preserving knowledge in like some, because like I don't think you can destroy a spell, can you? Or destroy any kind of like scroll or holy book. Like I don't think items can just be effectively like removed from the game. They can be tossed from your inventory and not retrieved again, but there's like a fragment of indestructibility that's occurring here.
Well,
Um,
as far as and we really appreciate your thoughts on that, Jackal. Do you have like before we let you go, like, can you tell us, like, in a thesis statement, can you boil it down into like a couple sentences? Because I know you were kind of going over it when we first started speaking. So, what is a tarnish to you? Like, what is your take on what is the tarnish? What makes a tarnish?
a tarnished to me is a previously deceased contender for lordship given an opportunity to rule the lands between via a tournament battle royale.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I'm kind of on that wave in the sense that like they can be a vessel for runic power. You know, for holding all the power that it obtains as it marches and kills. And some would say it's a delivery mechanism, even for the greater will and such, in order to get all these rune fragments and power back. But yeah, no matter which way you look at it, I hear you and your take on that, man. And appreciate you calling in, big dog.
No problem. Glad to be here.
I hope you have a safe drive back, my brother.
I will. And for anyone who doesn't know, I got approved for the Duskbloods beta test. Can't show gameplay footage, but I can talk about it. So
Dude, that's
be
so
be on the
cool.
lookout.
That's so cool. I can't wait to see what that game's all about, man. I can't wait to, man.
Me too.
I'm gonna pick your brain about it because I have no idea what to expect from that.
I'm going to try and take like pictures and stuff, like as I can make snapshots on the Switch, but yeah, definitely can't like post recorded gameplay officially. So
Yeah, true. For anybody listening now or in the future, Jackal streams in a couple of places, mostly YouTube, I hear, as Jackal Khan, and Sunstorm Jackal on Twitch. He's a great streamer. Keeps it moving, man. Good stuff. All right, brother. I'll put you back in the round table, my man. Thanks a lot for coming on.
all right, good night, everyone.
Peace out, bro.
I'll see you.
Man, he's great. He's got a lot of really good takes on stuff. Really
Yeah.
sharp about stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that was Jackal Khan again. Catch his streams. He's really good at it. Love it. He's a very entertaining fellow. But yeah, so I suppose if it's okay, we can pivot back to Fia real quick. I hear what you guys were saying on that. I think so. It's been said before.
Actually, oh, sorry, Rhea.
Oh, don't be sorry. What you got?
In the meantime, I came up with a whole other reason why, like, to prove you once and for all that Fia is not, like, not the same as the other people.
You're a machine.
That she is not tarnished, that she is nor dead, nor alive. She is just something, some sort of being, and for me, big part of it is that she is, as Godwyn put it, some sort of like shamanic creature that does possess these abilities, but also she seems to collect in herself a lot of energy from different people, And honestly, she does seem to give some sort of curses to people who come in contact with her. For example, poor Rogier, who untimely died from um, some sort of STDs. But I do think
Oh
that
God.
that Fia herself is in neither states of life or death, because even though she comes in contact with so many tarnished, she herself is not prone to, any of these effects. She is just some sort of a medium or energy, but is not mortal herself.
That's super interesting, and I would love to. Do you think there's enough there for you to like make a whole video about it? Because I really want to hear.
Um,
I really want to hear more about
maybe it's
that line
something
of
in the
thought.
cooking. Maybe I gotta return to the kitchen.
It's the rice
Ooh,
maker. Hell
okay.
yeah! I mean, I would love to hear that because I think Fia lore is pretty cool. I think there's a lot there. I think that I wouldn't encroach upon your definition of what Fia is, because I think whether she's human or not human, according to like my very primitive understanding of what she's doing here, uh, I think it doesn't matter exactly what form, what what kind of life form that she is. My main questions around her are, she's able, like why is she so into Godwyn? All right, she
Who
seems
wouldn't be?
dedicated to Godwyn. Why can she cast the same spells and sorceries and such as she did to D, uh, as we see in her quest line? And I always thought that she just kind of represents this loophole, as Roger describes it. There's a loophole in the process of life and death, and these souls have every reason, have every right to be alive. And she operates outside of this Erd tree burial and sap born type of existence that a lot of people seem to live in the lands between. I feel like I talked over two people. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's cool. I think, well, if everything that Annekki said is true, she might actually be a vessel for the god of the undead and ghost flame and those who live in death and everything like that. Those who live in death have always been like the yin to the yang of war. It's this undead necromancy versus the hallelujah type of necromancy. If Fia is trying to uh, marry or ally or align herself with Godwyn's corpse, which might actually be also in the shape of this weird god of the undead, water and stuff like that. It would be just another way for uh, this god's influence to be birthed into the real world or the lands between or whatever. It's this creepy idea that women can be possessed, especially maidens, by these outer gods, and that's what makes them so influential, powerful, to be possessed like, or like a tool for an outer god.
I sort of agree with what Godwin said, with one exception. I think that you're very right on Fia's role in this entire thing. But I think there is a reason why she surrounds herself with Tarnished, because ultimately, when we as a Tarnished get to inside of the Earth Tree, um, we keep America as the vessel for runes, or we choose Rani. But if Fia was one to get there, I think she would not be able to become the Lord. I think she would have presumed the role of the vessel for the new rune and the new order of the world. So her having the entire uh, little army of Tarnished for herself is almost a way to secure a lord that would fight for her.
I see.
I agree. A lot of characters seem to be doomed to be a vessel, so I would
Hmm.
completely agree.
I'm kind of surprised to not hear anything from Boss on this. Boss, in our conversations before, you had a lot to say about Fia.
Yeah,
And
I
your
think I
take on
was
it.
just allowing people to talk, but I feel a deathbed companion is only a term for something else. Like I feel Marika has done the same thing as Fia before, even just being a recipient for warmth as well. So not sure if Fia, of course, being a normal human slash tarnished, she's not even Newman or shaman, she could get to greater heights. But what's the word? She seems to be a kind of vessel, maybe not the right one.
Right, right. It just seems to be. She says that she likes what she does, and I guess with the iconography of the Baldekin's blessing, um, and the way that the game presents it, maybe I'm just looking at it through my own lens. It just I feel like they're trying to make Fia look like some kind of like working girl, so to speak, and like they're trying to make it seem kind of adjacent to that type of stuff, and I don't I don't know if it's so much as she's like a different kind of being as it is just like kind of a strength that she may have, just as maybe like spirit calling or spirit tuning, pardon me, is kind of a latent talent that Roderica has and that could cultivate. But maybe Roderica is a completely different being, completely different type of entity in the lands between. Is this a world full of aliens? Is that what's happening? With all kinds of different. And again, I'm kind of stuck myself in this idea of like each one of these people have something that connections to gold or desire, or they live under gold, but they don't necessarily like the golden order. And what they do either protests it or exists outside of the golden order, so to speak. And another example of this, if we don't have any more topics, and feel free to have them, or any more comments on like Fia, for instance, I wanted to kind of pivot to Godfrey next, if that's all right. Godfrey being like, I've heard some folks say that Radagon is kind of the creator of the golden order. Like America's time was the time of plenty and the beginning of gold, whereas it was Radigan that brought in the golden order. Did y'all? Am I understanding that wrong? Did y'all kind of take it
He's
that way?
definitely the creator of Golden Order fundamentalism specifically, which is what we get from the game. Golden Order being a more like umbrella term for this new faith, but Radigan definitely built upon this foundation, and his fundamentalist views and like the new order of things is something that is like very separate from even what Golden Order was supposed to be, which we'll learn from one of our topics for today from the Gold Mask. But I think what you're talking about is specifically Golden Order fundamentalism.
Gotcha, gotcha. So we bring in Godfrey, who is definitely dead, super dead, like turbo dead, according to the scene that we're shown. And this is Godfrey as we see. I don't know if the lion is still attached to his back, like wrapped to his back, or if Sirash's head is just hung on the tree next to him. But they met their demise together, and would it be too bold to say that Godfrey is the first Tarnished, and kind of introduces that complication of our understanding of what a Tarnished is, as there's lore in the game itself talking about like the gold of the eyes faded, his, when there was nobody left to fight, it was taken away from him. um as if maybe part of the plan, or just maybe his purpose was fulfilled and was not needed anymore for royalty.
I think we gotta consult Boss on this one as our Elden Ring encyclopedia. Who was the first Tarnished?
I think it is specified that Godfrey is the first Tarnished. Like, he was the first one to lose his grace, the glow in his eyes, specifically.
It kind of led me to believe that anything that the people that came from him kind of were like he started the line of Tarnished.
I mean, he and his warriors are the first Tarnished in a sense, and the Tarnished of today are descendants of him and his warriors. Of course, I think he is a Tarnished, so it's him, his warriors, and their descendants being Tarnished.
Right, right. So it's really interesting in the sense that a Tarnish can be like at one time they were the Elden Lord, like they were the highest position, at least in the divine hierarchy that like I suppose a human could achieve at the time.
Or yeah, or at least they have been promised lordship.
Indeed, indeed. So again, from what we hear in the game, America says that they're going to be sent off, they're going to fight, and then they're going to come back. So, if anything, this scene to me kind of just affirms that speech that was given. Like this is a really sad look for old Godfrey here, but this is really just a step in the plan, right?
Yep.
It's like a true test of faith.
When I look at this picture, I always wonder why he is chained to the tree, almost either in a ritual way, that he was chained to it and then murdered, or maybe even he was chained to it and asked his own warriors to end his life so he could go back to the lands between. Just judging by the weapons and the way he is killed there, but definitely like I think out of all the like starting cutscene Tarnished, his death itself looks the most intriguing to me.
Yeah,
Glad
he's
you brought
even
this up.
striking the market pose.
Oh yes, that's true. I'm glad you brought that up because Raider's questline in Night Rain kind of hints at what's going on with Godfrey and Orlu, how they were both twin brothers that possibly killed each other in Night Rain, but I don't think that's the case in Elden. I think Orlu may have actually taken up the legacy of Godfrey and just impersonated him or just continued on or being possessed by him, or like all three. But what happens with Raider's questline, kind of spoilers for that, is that it's Black Claw versus Whitehorn, and you find out that you're not who you think you are. You're impersonating your brother. I think you're either Black Claw or Whitehorn, but it's this idea of twin brothers fighting each other in a coliseum, and one actually they're fighting for one true identity. And it would make sense that Orlu is ritualistically killing himself just so that he could be possessed by his twin brother.
That's a
I do
super
like
cool
this
take. Yeah,
take.
I haven't
Yeah.
heard that one before. That's actually
Kind
really
of
cool.
also helps me with I was pondering for a long time you know, the tarnished sunflowers and who the tree in the Lands of Shadow relates to. I think it is a big debate in the community. Like, who exactly is like this tree? Does this tree represent? Does it represent Glowmite Queen? Does it represent, I don't know, Miquella Melania? Does it represent Mirka and Radagon? Or like what I like to think is that it has connection to Godfrey himself, and you mentioning the concept of twin brothers and one becoming another, I kind of really like it, and I feel like It's a very valuable ingredient for my future cooking.
um, Boss and I have talked a lot about Godfrey and such, and I just wanted to ask Boss, like, do you think Godfrey left when everybody left, or do you think he's like the one that stayed behind as the anchor, as that anchor Hammer described? Like there was one boat that was left, and somebody stayed.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's actually interesting.
shout out to Dryleaf Aaron. He's done a lot of videos on that. He has a whole series of Godfrey Never Left. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
word. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Dryleaf Aaron. Go check out their material, for sure.
I still do believe he left. Drylift Aaron has an interesting take that I may or may not agree. But it's true that a boat stayed over, so we do have Tarnished being maybe a group of Tarnished, secret Tarnished maybe, that they stayed in the lands between. It's really interesting about it, but yeah, I think he left. Because he made the long march is a emphasis of his whole story, and his axe breaking in the long march feels like, and it reminds me of Moses going to the promised land and having the march of the 40 years.
So before the show started, Godmuffin and I were just kicking it, just chopping it up, talking about different things involving, grace and tarnish. One thing that always kind of confused me, and I'd like to hear what you two have to think about this. Remember when we fight Godfrey? I mean, who could forget, right? That whole thing was metal as fuck. He's holding Morgoth's remains, which had stayed in place, like deliberately, like the bodies in the concept art and everything stayed in place until Godfrey was holding him, and he's saying it's been a long time, and then it turns into Morgoth's body turns into a little like Golden Order Alka-Seltzer and dissolves away, almost as if Godfrey had granted that to Morgoth. Is that something that grace can do? Is that something that, like, and the only reason I bring it up is because Godwyn had a very interesting response, so it's putting him on the spot a little bit at this moment here. Like, is that something he could do? Is he was already the Elden Lord once? Does he already have this power? Is this something that grace allows people to do? Really powerful people to do? I'm just kind of yapping at this point because the whole thing kind of confused me, and I'm really anxious to hear if any of y'all have any thoughts on that.
I'm definitely going to tackle this in the future as well, but I'm very happy to expand on it now. I think it's just dying in the arms of the one you love, or to be cradled in that sort of way during your dying moments gives you this Erdtree burial plus plus that actually really is a step above than just chucking your body into the roots. It's also a sentiment expressed in Hell's Paradise, which has also been influenced to Elden Ring. Just to die in the arms of the one you care about, or like someone who cares about you. It's this it's this image that also is plastered on top of every hero's grave, where this robed figure is holding a zombified guy and he's reaching out towards the Erdtree, and they're always facing the Erdtree. I think except for the one close to Langdell. But it's also what happens to America's head during Ronnie's ending, to be held in that sort of way, to be remembered even in death with love and a caring sort of feeling.
That's
Because
kind of like a legacy granted to somebody's heart of your
yes,
remembrance.
Yes, it's all shortcuts to immortality because when the gods are handing out divinity and immortality, it's this weird credit card system where you get gold or like platinum. It's all a pyramid scheme. There's never immortality is never what it is cooked up to be, especially when the gods seem to value our flesh, especially like how God treats our flesh as special. Like, it's the irony that the divines want mortal flesh. Like, our mortal flesh is divine to the gods. That's the kind of iron to it.
Yeah, I really really like that take because I hadn't thought of the hero's grave situation. I thought that was really cool. Like that kind of turned all my like presumptions that I had at one point on their ear in a sense. Like I was just like, man, I can't get around that. I can't unhear that now. I can't unsee that. That's a really good point that you make. And then yeah, again when Ronnie just places Marika's head upon that body, just like here you go, and fades away. Fades away. An interesting take on, or an interesting pivot would be, if it, well, that is if Annekki didn't have anything to say about the Godfrey situation that I brought up. Was I was going to bring up Gideon next, as far as just another really interesting take, and their scene during the intro cinematic I think is crazy, just filled with lore. You have this dude who looks like they got a proper burial and everything, like a venerated burial. Maybe they were super rich, or maybe they were super honored, and this sarcophagus is just filled with ears and eyeballs, which he's the all-knowing. And you have this scepter here at the ready being held. I believe it's a statue, personally, but almost anticipating Gideon's return, like as if this was already known that this would happen. And then also the grace is represented in a bit of a different way, as there's a beam of light that shines in. And I feel like that might give a little bit more context or hint as to what grace is and what it's bestowed upon. So we asked earlier, like, what makes grace choose? What's the criteria? Is it just like what the light of the Erd Tree falls upon? And that can bring it back.
I think I have something to start with on Gideon, but I know that NotGodwyn has quite a bit to say, so if I can kind of transition into some of the mythological connections that possibly are there. Uh, to add to what you just described, Rattle, I also think that Gideon's grave is very different. Like, he looks to be highly revered. He
I know,
has
right?
statues on the side of his sarcophagus, and the staff that he uses in fight, um, or like whatever it is for him. I think it's a staff, right? Whatever. The thing is,
Same.
there's like a gargoyle holding it, almost as if, his burial was so epic and monumental that even his personal belongings are there waiting for him to return. And what is even more interesting, of course, are all these votive items that you have just described. The eyes and ears. Um, so there are two ways. Like, first of all, in real life, those things, the um, ear-shaped or eye-shaped, or like the offerings made from clay, from iron, they have existed for thousands of years and were used by real-life cultures as a votive item, as an offering to a god. And there are two ways to look at them. On one side, there is a belief that you would put ears on the altar for the gods because gods will hear you. You're asking for their attention. You're feeling, so his sarcophagus might have been filled with eyes and ears to draw God's attention to him. So he wanted to be chosen. He wanted to be resurrected so bad. He ordered his servants, his followers, after his death, to offer all of these items to his grave to get the god's attention to him. And second classical view of votive offerings is that they represented something that the person offering those things had sickness or issue with. For example, if you lose your hearing, you would have offered gods an item, an offering in the shape of an ear. So there is the second way to look at it. Perhaps something happened to his eyes and ears because he was, very greedy and liked to collect way too much tea. So maybe when he died and was buried, maybe people did something to him, so he would stop gossiping and yapping. But so yeah, there are these two classic ways to look at votive offerings and two theories I have as to why his grave is filled with them. But I do know that NotGodwyn had some ideas on it, so if you would like to share, I would really love to listen to it.
Yeah, and as always, that's amazing, Annekki. I really enjoyed that. I also wanted to quickly get back to what Rattle was saying about the beam of light. Um, Knowledge is kind of like a faster than light parasite that changes how you think, and it could be also this weird medium for how God gets into your brain, and how grace could be viewed as necromancy or this weird type of uh, brain control or mind control, because it is telling you to like go in a certain direction. Um, but I think the whole collecting ears thing, I was really curious about that. So I looked into the Black Ears of uh, A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones series. There's these group of kind of bandits, wild men who hang out in the Vale, basically the Stormlands, because they hence have a hawk as the crest of their entire province. And then they meet Tyrion, the lion guy, and win their favor and start hanging out with them. They even are granted the honor of guarding his girlfriend. But they, as soon as they get to the capital, they're turned away and scorned by the members of the capital. And even though they actually saved the capital at one point, they are driven from the capital because, well, they're wearing the ears around their neck as a necklace. They actually wear this as a trophy. They leave people alive, but they take your ears.
Oh.
So it's funny that they are also super big enemies of the Stone Crows, because these little imps that hang out around Gideon kind of look like crows. It looks like there's almost 3 or 4 or 5 of them just surrounding his coffin there. I love their little crowns with the eyes. Well,
Yeah, it's like he has his own little seal, like his own little coat of
yeah,
arms, so to speak.
I wanted to throw just the small suggestion. I don't think it's true, but maybe the ears are a sign of shame. But I think it's more a votive item, like Annekki said, that it's gaining some sort of power through the sheer mass of ears and eyeballs that are thrown into him.
I really think it's like right in your face that the his sarcophagus is overflown by these votive elements. And I like to have both takes because we all know Elden Ring has a lot in common with the Song of Ice and Fire, but so does it with world cultures and just those IRL historical mythological things. So I think both can coexist. But really, I personally do think that some people, like, I really like your take on Fia, Rattle. Even, like, despite me having thoughts about her humanity or lack of it, I still think that the idea that Grace came to the deceased lord or champion is great, because then we see different ways in which people drew Grace's attention to them. We see that Fia took someone else's. We see that Godfrey, possibly, in my headcanon, um, sacrificed himself or asked his warriors to end himself so he can return. Gideon, in my opinion, was just try hard and a pick-me trying his best to get God's attention. Like he asked to fill his coffin with all these votives so gods would pay attention to him. He wanted to be chosen. So it's almost like we have not only different backstories, different motives, different endings to the game, but also a variety of ways in which they received the grace.
It makes me wonder how I don't. It's just so many questions to me come from this scene, and we have the ears, we have the eyes. They're in a box. He's been positioned to hold it because I don't think he just laid down and was just like, all right, I'm gonna die now, and just decide to like fill up his own sarcophagus with ears and chill with this box of eyeballs. He's got these rock candles that you see often in crypts and in like Fia's room and a couple other places. He's got these statues that are wearing crowns. Ears themselves are carved into the top of the sarcophagus, so it's his own thing. It's his thing he's got going. Does he have a crew? Do y'all believe he had like a crew of people that left these here with like love or dedication? Sometimes I've wondered if they were all there and like he's resurrected the all-knowing because the ears, to put it in simplest of terms, the ears have echoes of what they've heard. The eyes have, the things that they've seen, and he's resurrected with this knowledge in him. Like, where did these eyes come from? Were they given to him out of love, like how the Mausoleum Knights decapitated themselves to promise their service? Like, are they
I
his
think love is a strong
followers?
word. Maybe loyalty would be the best word, just like Nefeli has for him.
It's like, this dude's gonna be the Lord, so we might as well, like, here, take my ear, but you better give me a good job when you're Elden Lord.
Sounds likely.
Definitely,
Likely.
yeah,
He sounds
he
like a
had a
good
core
employer.
following.
Uh,
I would
Sometimes
like
I've
to
Definitely
work
wondered
had a
that.
for him.
bunch of people, like you were right about Nefeli and like the freaking Ansha, like he had the entire little cult of his own.
Right. It makes me wonder, like are these eyes the eyes of, like, say, we see Corin that have has his eyes taken out because of, what there's a lore description that says Corin is one of the ones that look deep into the
Yeah,
golden
a prophet.
religion. Yeah, a prophet, and he's one of the prophets that saw fire, and because of that, he was punished for it. Are his eyes covered or are they taken? Did Gideon have like some kind of judicial or like police type of station in his life? Like, did he hold court with something like that? Would he have access to these eyes, and that's why he has them? To
Well, he
really
is a
see.
sir. He is a knight, and most
That's a
likely
good
Hybern.
point, bruh.
And I wanted
Yes.
to remind us, or at least myself, maybe Was is gonna bolt out of his chair. Getting off there kind of reminds me of Odin, but Odin sacrificed one of his eyes for knowledge, and getting off there being the bitch he is getting a bunch of eyes for that knowledge.
Oh man.
His grace, if you look closer to the picture, the grace lands exactly on the eye
It's
symbol.
right on the eyeball. It's right on
Yep.
the
Yep.
darn eyeball. Like,
Like he
it's.
saw it coming.
Yes, this is why I brought up the whole faster than light parasite idea because I truly believe that Gideon lost some sort of psychic battle and got brainwashed at the end, because he pulled such a 180 at the end. It feels like he lost the battle of greater wills.
Definitely.
Interesting.
And I wanted to point out that his scepter is a hand clutching a pearl. And of course, we have never had a pearl in game being used as glintstone. So that could be like a whole another thing. Like, is that
It's
a
not.
glintstone pearl? Because pearls are made inside of clams. They're like actually sediment over the years. So of course I'm talking about water. Sorry guys. I got excited by that piece of
It's not a
information.
pearl, though. It's not a
Yeah, is
pearl.
it a
The
pearl?
description says it's a pearl.
It's not a pearl. It's a
Let me read
symbolist.
it. Let me read it.
Please
Read it.
do. I would love to hear that. It's like I'll wait.
A scepter in the form of a hand grasping a pearl.
Oh wow.
It may be, but symbolically, it's not a pearl. Because, okay, you know what? It was all gathered as a material for an exquisite gourmet dish. But I will tell y'all right now, and everyone who's listening to it is getting an exclusive insight. Gideon Offner has parallels with specifically Masonic society. And
Hey,
Oh.
his scepter is related to certain Masonic symbols. So obviously, like as a material, it is a hand that is clutching a pearl, but in reality, it is something else. But more on that later.
you got me
Excellent.
intrigued.
I can't wait. How many fingers does the hand on the scepter have, boss, if you still have it pulled up?
Oh, it has four in front, but I think it has like a
A thumb.
fifth one clutching
Yeah.
it.
Understood.
So
Gotcha.
so 5 fingers.
Got you. So is it a pearl that is wearing away with gold underneath, or was it a gold pearl that is wearing away, leaving just a sliver of gold left?
Well, that's a good question. Like if we believe it's a pearl, we need to think how pearls are made.
Just on the topic of pearls, the pearl shield talisman in the DLC is like specifically designed for deflecting these types of outer god magic. It says
Like opaline.
the yeah, well, more like mother of pearl, but opaline is also very cool because it's a organic material turned into rainbowy iridescent rock. That's also very cool. Um, it says the pearl shield talisman says the nature and the potential of impurity surpassing the nature and the potential of impurity surpassed the understanding of the knights, and so they were forced to prepare for all threats, known or unknown, which is kind of like very thematic for the all-knowing.
Yep,
Right.
very on brand.
Get real. I've always said you get real Applebee's assistant manager energy from this guy, with his helmet that has a crown and this whole motif. So yeah, I think he's always been intending to be the next Elden Lord eventually, and through his knowledge and culmination of that, maybe he got wind of this system that is going on, and maybe
It's
able
just
to was trying to exploit
go,
that. Go ahead, buddy.
I find it so tragic that he just didn't wear the Nox mirror helm to keep his mind uninterfered with.
Right.
Well, he was wise, not smart.
But he had eyes and ears everywhere, as we see like in the Gelmir, boss arena and everything after we defeat Rykard and everything. And that's how he got his information and the next person we're going to talk about a little different in their approach to things, and that is and I'm not going to yell it because I've been talking. I wanted to yell it originally, but I don't think I'm going to yell it. But the brilliant Gold Mask and the scene that we find him in when he's being resurrected, looks like he's writing in the font of the two fingers, like in that language, that the very Lord of the Ringsy looking cursive, um, doing a
You would say he's writing in light?
could well, I mean, I think he's writing in whatever that ink is that's spilled next to his quill.
Yes, it's it's the language of the coded sword and the cipher pata and the script shield.
Yeah,
It's
Yep.
the language that the fingers speak in. Like they have this weird
yeah.
alien ASL.
I always wondered. I don't want to get too off track, but I always wonder if like the fingers were like if there was like some kind of fourth wall thing going on to this story, as if like a creator to its creations as a dev, as a video game dev is to sprites and what they put in a video game. Like, is the language of light this like a parallel to coding, the coding of a video game and such, the coding of a program? Because those, like the pata and the sword, can like just go through shields and just override the presence of shields and such. And Goldmask understanding this language the way that the finger readers can, they know what the fingers are saying. And I don't know, I'm yapping too much, but I don't know, that topic just always fascinated me, when that comes to mind. But we got the Gold Mask here, and he seems to have met his end while filling out an adult coloring book here of the ancient Erd Tree sigil. And curious why Grace would choose this person to come back, if because it seems like Goldmask comes to his revelation late in his quest of the fickleness of the gods and such. And so is it because of his pursuit of how the Golden Order works and how life works that he was brought back and thought to be a good Elden Lord? Do y'all have any takes on the Mask of Gold, on this brilliant
I
fella
think
here?
you are right about the fact that he is originally very devoted to the Golden Order and might have been brought back simply as the most devout follower. But in the process of pursuing it further and ascending beyond the influence of the two fingers, he is able to uncover the secrets that were veiled by Radagon. I'm not sure what the image of him can tell us, because it doesn't tell us too much except for him writing things, and it seems that he used to wear clothes before. There is one detail though that interests me a lot, and I think maybe Boss will understand where I'm coming from, because we did look at some Dark Souls 3 things together, particularly the painted world and the colors, and thinking, what exactly are these colors that the painter lady is using, and knowing that she is using specific material to paint the painted world. I wonder, looking at the picture of Gold Mask, what exactly is the gold that he is writing in the sacred language with? Is this gold some sort of mixture, or is this some sort of blood related to those of golden lineage, or those who have ascended on the path of golden order?
That's true, because couldn't be really gold, because gold is a metal and needs to be heated up to, like, to be melt,
Mm-hmm.
like, to be able to be liquid. So yeah, I'm not sure what liquid it is, but you could be on the money, not being actually gold, if not a golden color of something. Just like
Mhm.
the painter want to depict the black pigment of the dark soul, we may be looking at the gold pigment of something.
Right.
Yes, there's even gold blood outside of Chapel of Anticipation by
Ooh.
Crafted Simon.
All right. Okay. You know what? I like this even more now.
Yeah.
So, real quick before I say the next thing, I think it was, I really want to say it was Tarnished Archaeologist that originally wondered if this man was poisoned. And he fell to his death, and this cup wasn't what he was drawing with or writing with, but a liquid that he was drinking, his frosty beverage, and was poisoned, and he was put down.
No, they poisoned the orange juice. No.
Well, if you look at it, look at the language that he's writing in. Do we see this language really written in anything like on stone that's corporeal that can be seen? We see this language a lot as the gamer. We see it on the seals of doors. We see it on the pata. And this is what I always think that he's looking at, or that the finger readers are looking at, like when the two fingers, when their little fingers are just squibbling in the air, they're making these shapes. Is
Yeah.
my canon, my head canon.
Yes.
But Gold Mask is now writing it out actually on stone to be that's able to be seen by anybody, and whether that's poison or not that he's that he's sipping on, it seems like he was mid activity here and was kind of maybe taken out of the game because he not literally the game but figuratively speaking, he was eliminated, he was knocked, he was iced, because he's got this book here that looks a lot like the Golden Order Principia. It looks like he's really trying to figure stuff out, and here he has deciphered the language of the two fingers, and the two fingers seem to me like kind of almost a nefarious force of trying to keep control, trying to keep their position. The two fingers keep their power as long as this cycle of the greater will and Elden Lord keeps going. But I know it's a lot to say with that. But kind of lost my point in where I was going with all that. It's just mainly just taking my musings looking at this scene that they show
I'm
us.
kind of reading the comments and I like what Nos is saying. Or I mean, it was more so a question: is he reading with the fingers? So maybe he wasn't writing, but he was reading something, and in in his most own character way, he got very excited from the things he read and just died from happiness. But um, he might as well have been reading something instead of writing something.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
So
like the carving the floor is already carved and he's only painting and reading at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
I kind of compare him to the Colonel from KFC a lot, because he's like,
Okay.
yeah, the modern recipe is shit. Like I know the real recipe.
The original 12 spices.
Yeah. Gold Mask is he used to be a lord, and I wonder what that actually means because not a lot of characters just say that so casually. Like he's the Lord Gold.
Well, you're right. And a few characters we have Sir Gideon Offner, Lord Goldmask, Lord Godfrey. Seems like a bunch of important people.
Yep.
do you
He also
think
looks
he
like
was
Medra a lot. Oh, sorry. What'd you say, Rattle?
looks like? No, I'm more interested in what you said. What'd you say?
Oh no, he looks like Medra in this photo.
Interesting.
Because I think they're pretty dang similar, but
Yeah,
once again,
they are both scholars.
I
They
have
are.
way too much to say on this topic,
Yeah.
but I think even the mask itself uh, represents what frenzy is, except a little bit alternate because the frenzy we see has, like, obviously it is a representation of chaos. Meanwhile, here it's ascension above like human constructs, about the construct of human mind, which in a bad case can be chaos, but like their goal is similar. They're both, as you said, both scholars. They're both like definitely people who were researching fingers. Both of them, as we know from the manner that we talked about in our spooky episode, there are fingers there covered by the cloth. So I do think that they are connected more than it is known by the broad public.
They both
Yeah,
got the same build, that's for sure.
I agree. And I
True.
guess I guess I wanted to say maybe it's too obvious for the people. I may be too stupid. But basically the language of the fingers, I feel they could be drawn with the fingers because they're like just swirls. So whenever Goldmass is like just standing up with his finger, Corin's just looking at the swirls with his finger. I think it's obvious, but just wanted to point out that. Or I feel that he is rating the light of the Earth tree. Like he's using his finger to measure how much light is being emitted from the Earth tree. It's kind of weird because light, of course, in real life cannot be read in
Oh,
language. Could be measured but not read.
I'm so glad you brought up the pointing thing. Uh, I think this is like a Bruce Lee thing where he talks about Buddha pointing at the moon. You don't pay attention to the finger. You're supposed to pay attention to the moon.
I
It's
was thinking about Fallout 2 about the Fall Out Boy uh, finger thing as well. Not sure if you guys know that trick.
I do
Like
not.
if you use a plugger, like if you have a nuclear explosion in front, God hopes not. If you pull your finger up, like your plugger, and the explosion is bigger than your finger, you're done. So,
oh yeah, yeah, the thumbs up thing from Fallout.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So
So
I
fingers and
think
light.
I think that we all have heard multiple connections about the fingers being antennas, and I personally think that when Gold Mask is standing there, he is literally turning himself into an antenna, getting in sync with the like cosmic vibrations or whatever this a hippy dippy shit that he's doing. And I think the movements of his fingers that Corin is relaying into text are these like vibrations that he is catching that Corin is able to write down. So I think that this is just some sort of a radio technology that he's doing.
Oh, I love this. I love this so
that's
much
awesome.
because it's it's kind of like another form of scrying. He's letting his finger become possessed so it can like write out stuff for him in midair. That's really
Yep.
So do you think he was in this picture here? Do you think he was whacked, or do you think his asceticism uh, path just kind of saw its way all the way through? He seems very old, but his clothing and the type of like anklets that he's got on, they remind me of the stuff we see in Limb and such,
Yeah,
and
I
in the
think he
Shadowlands.
definitely, you're right, he belongs to that culture, that is for sure. Um, if you're asking me what happened to him, I really like the idea that he got he's an old frail person and he got a little too excited
amazing.
uh, with something that he uncovered through reading these truths, and I guess he just died from the overwhelming knowledge like any scientist would. But I also like theory that he was poisoned. I also think that he might have died of his ascetic lifestyle, as you said. I think this one is literally like open for interpretation.
I'm completely convinced of the idea that he died of like a eureka moment. He died of euphoria, basically.
True.
Right, right. I always thought it really intriguing that it seems like the Elden Ring that's on the cover of his book is different from the Elden Ring that we see him looking at and that we see in other places as well. That always fascinated me. It made me wonder: did he write that, or is he studying that? Like, was he just standing there and read this and was just like, "Oh my god," and then just passed out, just fell where he's at, and passed on. But that's really all I got on that subject. But I just that always intrigued me how that Elden Ring is different from the Elden Ring we see in other places.
I think there is a cut content other book that was supposed to be related to the Golden Order beliefs, but correct me if I'm wrong, and I think it was kind of similar to what he has, but I might be imagining things because I'm just that level of delusional.
I don't. I think it's all fair game. I think it's all fair game for sure.
Yep.
So, and before we go on to the last one, or does anybody see any common thread between these four that we've covered so far of Fia, Goldmask, Godfrey, and Gideon? Could it be some kind of knowledge of gold, some nature of relationship with gold that they may have in common? Something they could bring to the kingdom, so to speak, considering they all have mending runes, except for, I mean, Gideon, because he never makes it, because we dunk on him pretty hard. And then
Because he's
Godfrey.
a bomb.
My boy.
But yeah.
I think they all have this concept of something that'll live beyond them. Even if Gideon's is kind of selfish and he's just straight up wishing for immortality or knowledge and death. I think it's this. They'll have almost a hope, not even so much as faith, but more the hope that they will live in death or be the dead that yet live.
Nice. That was very poetic.
Still stand by my point that they all just have some strong will to change things, but maybe it will change once we discuss the last stinky one.
Yeah, yeah, and Will plays a big role. I mean, there are a couple of different things described in the game as just because their will is so strong, that is why they persist. Like going solely on an engine of vengeance, or like they met their demise through something completely unjust, etc. But one of the big contradictions to all of these would be, the last one that we're going to talk about, and that is the loathsome dung eater. The inclusion of this one was always really crazy to me, because it's like, for lack of a better term, like did Grace choose the powerful? Did Grace choose heroes? And what does renown mean? Why would Grace choose somebody that is known as the shit eater? They're obviously very much hated here, and while at the same time, this also kind of fuels a couple theories that I have about how Grace chooses these characters that have garnered a lot of power in one way or another, either through knowledge, through conquest. As we kill things in the land between, we get their runes, they fly into us. Through knowledge, as in like Gideon or Goldmask; conquest as Godfrey. Dung eaters killed a lot of people, known to do that. Fia through absorbing runic energy, or maybe that's a stretch, just absorbing energy and such, concentration of power. Maybe it doesn't matter if you're a jerk or a chiller. Grace just
Like Grass
needs,
doesn't have morality.
yeah. It just needs somebody to sit on that throne, and then maybe it needs maybe it's looking for somebody to usurp the current regime. And this is just my theory, and honestly, my theories are trash. I'm aware of it, but like maybe the greater will doesn't really like what Radagon is doing at the moment, or America shattered the ring, so the greater will needs them out of here. It doesn't like the Golden Order. It doesn't like them. It needs something that will venerate the greater will, but doesn't like the current system that's in control. And as like Goldmask doesn't like, calls the gods fickle. Godfrey represented a time of abundance before all this. Fia exists in life and death, and a cycle outside of sap. Anyways, yeah, morality. What does the Dung Eater's resurrection say to you guys?
I kind of want to even preface it by asking y'all, and you Rattle too, why was he punished in the first place? Like, it seems like they're throwing poop at him, although I'm not sure.
Where'd they get that
Uh,
poop? Where'd they get that poop? It's gross.
straight
It's
out of their
gross.
asses, but,
Who just has poop on demand? What the heck?
yep. I think about his name sometimes, not too often. And like, if a person is a dung eater, a shit eater, it can either mean that he is being put on the same level with animals, being like feral, not in control of himself, or it can also etymologically mean that basically he just doesn't have his wits. He is not a smart person. But are any of these reasons, or even eating poop literally, are any of these reasons enough to hang a person? What is his crime? What is he punished for back then?
The only things I can really, the only answers I can offer, like just shooting from the hip, is I believe he is known as a serial killer because of, like, didn't Boggart say that he shared a cell with him and that he was a monster when they were in prison?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess he got out and kept doing his thing, or he was in death row or something. And I don't know. That's the only thing that I really know of, is that I think he's regarded as like a serial killer.
Mm.
Serving his purpose.
I agree. I have so many thoughts on this boy, but I wanted to hear what Boss thinks.
Ooh, well, like Rattle said, and I agree, Grace doesn't have morality, and I wanted to invoke Hogwood from Dark Souls 3 when he talks about Aldrich, and he slanders Aldrich a little, but he says Aldrich was made a Lord of Cinder not by virtue, but for might. So I think all this Tarnish of Renown, they hold a power that Grace wants. So sadly, this guy, it's a caca consumer. It's the Dong Eater, so he eats things too. So he has consumed the essence of a lot of things. So he's really strong, and he actually reminds me of Aldrich in a strange way, because Aldrich ate people too.
You think he
Do you
ate the
think
people?
Yeah, I wanted to ask if he really eats shit, and knowing there's like golden shit and you can consume runes by killing people and like consuming their runes, is it fair to assume that he might have gathered certain amount of knowledge slash rune value through consuming people's feces and getting his
Oh
runic value
God!
from that?
Well,
Hey,
I
we
think
see
so.
gold tinged excrement. a little.
I don't. I mean, I don't
Enough hot
recommend doing
sauce,
that.
and no, I'm
It
just
seems
kidding.
it works.
You can't die, so I. But uh, uh, uh. Well, so he seems to be when he does talk, he seems to have a plan. He says he's going to spread his blight. Now, perhaps he does consume things because when we find his what do you call it? His ethereal form or whatever, just hanging out in the I'll put up the video here, just hanging out in the round table hold, playing his Nintendo DS, chilling in this room. We see a pile of bodies in here. I don't. This always confused me because I don't know what they're trying to say. Like, does the round table hold just have a room full of just dead bodies? If you look at them, though, they're full of worms. And he talks about, like, defiling their corpses. And this is a very... We find this model in other places, too, namely at above-ground grave sites. Not necessarily those who live in death, but we find them in above-ground, like, cemeteries. Like, as when they're just kind of lying around. Is he eating these things? Like, is that why they're all stacked up around him and there's blood on the walls and such? Because I thought
I
when
mean,
it's like... Oh, go ahead, please.
Oh no, sorry. I guess I interrupted you a little,
No,
but I
you're
wanted to
good. You're
say
good, bro.
he's not eating them. He's eating what's inside of them. So yeah, the donk again.
I can't do
And my take was that he's not necessarily like doing anything but spreading some sort of disease that he is cursed with. And that's like one thing that I wanted to bring up and ask you guys, what do you think about it? Because it seems like there is this cursed and um, like sick state of being those who live in death, and um, the curse of Prince of Death that also shows up as bodily corruption, as some sort of cysts growing on, let's say, just like biological material, because it grows on trees, creatures, on many things. But it seems like there is some sort of sickness connected to death. And then there is this curse of the dung eater. And he says that he has this goal of defiling people and like cursing them with some sort of uh, state that would basically break the order of things so they cannot pass. They are like, I think I brought it up in
a
one
tender
of the videos and
pox.
tried to, yep, tried to kind of investigate this a little bit, because we know that there is a stage described in the game where you can die bodily but not die in spirit, and then there is a stage where, like, a state of being when you die spiritually but your body does not die. So I kind of wonder what is conceptual difference between these two sicknesses, these two curses, because both seem to affect the way people die and return through the cycle of burial, yet they are somehow different. And both, once again, do show up as some sort of cyst, some sort of like pox, as you said. Both have these kind of like nasty undertones to them.
But it's strange to me that it's kind of... So when you use his mending room, the world looks nasty. All right, it doesn't look like it's a good thing that's going on. He doesn't refer to it as a good thing that's going on. In-game lore descriptions describe him as having like the soul of an omen without the body of an omen. So it's like, what is it that he's so mad at? What is it he's trying to propel? And if omen horns are like a sign of, I mean, they call it the omen. So like my head canon has always been like if you start seeing, people being born with horns, that's that means something bad is coming. Like this age is coming to an end. This line is coming to an end. This is starting to creep into the world. This is a sign of what's coming next. I kind of get the idea, like if everybody's plagued, then nobody's plagued. But then it seems like he takes pride in his ailment at the same time by other descriptions and by his words and such. Like, what are we to believe? Like what do y'all think? Do you think he's trying to do an Omen cosplay because he really likes the Omen, or does he hate the Omen and is using it as a weapon against the Golden Order?
I think he's taken up a very empathetic cause with the Omen, and I think it's well, one, he's Jack the Ripper, but also he's called Dung Eater because the Omens have nothing to eat but exactly that down in the sewers. So it's also another sign. It's another badge of empathy for them. And I swear he's replacing people's family jewels with Omen family jewels. Like he's going out swapping testes.
Get some
and so when you die, excuse me. So when you die, the Erd tree goes like scanning. Oh no, you have Omen testicles. You can't come in. So it might be that sort of genes. Like he's enforcing the wrong genes onto people to spread this curse.
The old horny scrote.
Yes. I think this is super empathetic to the Omens, but also to the Fell God himself, because we never question who is Milos. Why is this malformed troll so important to the Omen cause? We learn about the Omen giants in the DLC. It seems like he's a very stand-in character for the Fell God himself, especially as Annekkipu was saying. He's wearing the big old sun bling, yeah.
Yep.
But it might be to fool these outer gods, because I always feel like the outer gods are very careless, or they are just nearsighted, and they'll be like, no, you count as an Omen now. They're very finicky about who goes into what afterlife, but also not finicky at all. They seem to be uncaring, or just at least amused, or, like I said, just excited.
Right. It just makes me wonder what exactly it is he's trying to accomplish, because so for his quest, you have to go and get these seedbed curses. Is there? Off the top of my head, I can think of one. Well, I guess there are two if you count Boggart, if you go down like that way. But one that kind of stands out to me is in the middle of Lendale, in one of the biggest buildings. So it made me wonder if he's like doing this to like aristocratic families, like noble families, in attempts to like bring down the Golden Order. The posture in my mind, to my headcanon on him is like he's very anti Golden Order, because like if you look at his armor, if he venerates Omen so much, like maybe it's an unreliable narrator that we're seeing in there. Like if he venerates Omen so much, then why does he have cut off horns on his armor? So to me, that's more like a political statement that he might be making with his armor. And that leads me to think even further. He's wearing this sun pendant, and they're speaking of a sun realm that's no longer around and such. He seems to be wearing a lot of like propaganda that's like anti-Golden Order. Not just
I was saying he's a 99% protester. He's very empathetic.
he just hates the Golden Order, it seems like, because like I don't know, his outfit seems more political than it seems to me, than it seems about wanting to be an Omen. Like all I want to be is an Omen.
It definitely seems to be a statement outfit. I would also say that his mission to in fact, as you said, like perhaps people related to the golden lineage, um, it does remind me, and I had these thoughts at a certain point, that there are parallels of him with Moog, because Moog is obviously an omen or a person cursed with omen curse, and he is also sharing his blood with those who become part of Mogwyn dynasty, the knights, the anointed knights of Mogwyn dynasty. So he is also altering their genome in a way, which is interesting because he is said, as you mentioned, to be not really omen in his body. So now that you're saying it, I used to think that, hey, Mog is doing it, and we all know that horn scent and like horns, there is some spiritual power to it. There's a reason why Mikola wanted to manipulate Moog to um, fertilize his cocoon with his blood, because this blood has more spiritual potential. So I thought that perhaps Dung Eater is to an extent the same way. But now that you have reminded me of it, I think that even his actions, I hear myself in someone's, so like boss, I think I hear myself in your speakers. But I think even what he is doing is a statement too. He is just doing it out of protest, because if he has no omen curse himself, there's no reason why, like, he cannot really curse these people with omen blood or with like hornset spiritually charged blood. He is just a human who has omens like in his heart and like their mission or whatever, at least he says so, right? So now that you mention it, Rattle, even his actions themselves seem to be just some sort of political protest. And he is doing something to family jewels of people related to the golden lineage.
And it says even
Just to
further that it stops their ability to go back to the Erd Tree. Sorry, Godwin. Go ahead, sir.
no, oh no, it's cool. I just wanted to present the alternative theory that he's just straight up possessed by an omen spirit.
Hmm. But would it alter his blood? Would it make him something else? Like, would
Oh,
it give
that's
him the same abilities as Omen would have, or does he act on, like, from the will of that Omen spirit, but instead of having this potent blood, he just eats shit and he just spreads some sort of nasty stuff?
I would
this
disagree a little there, being a reincarnation. Sorry, Godwin, but I think that's the point of Omen. They cannot reincarnate through the Earth Tree, so I'm not sure there.
this I've always been a firm believer that the body has to change and is dictated by the shape of the soul. That's kind of why when we fight Radon in the DLC, he doesn't look like Moog. He's taken on the shape of Radon, even though it's Moog's body. But I love this loophole to the idea of maybe you can get around that by just dressing or making your armor look like what your soul is supposed to be. Like, if you can prevent this horrific body horror change by just cosplaying instead. It reminds me of all of the weird fleshy masks in Elden Ring and how they give you weird abilities.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of masking and assuming that you are something that you're not concept going on in the game.
Could it be like he's throwing people off the scent? Like if everybody hates the Omen and I just want to kill people, why don't I just dress like an Omen? Since people think omens are so bad, are gonna do this anyway. They just
Honestly, if I was on this mission that you're describing, I would have dressed up as America and walk around killing people so they all think America is bad and Omen are good. So he kind of is shooting himself in the foot by doing this.
have you
I'm,
seen
I'm s-
Dung Eater Unmasked? I don't know if he can pull off America.
Have you
I
seen
have
Mark and
seen
Dung Eater in the same room? I think not.
I have seen him unmasked because Zuli the Witch has really great series of unmasked NPCs, and he kind of looks like he might be related to giants because he's kind of ginger.
which goes with the whole Felgod and the Milos thing with the trolls. I could completely see that. He also looks kind of like a lion. He has a very broad, wide nose.
Yeah. Yep.
It
I mean, a
he
Tarnished could be descendant of giants, because Tarnished could be any race or a lot of races.
that's true. Especially when we have the Omen Giants in the DLC as well. I'm so glad you guys brought up America because he really reminds me of the phrase that we get from Mesmer's armor: "Direct thy maledictions, thine ire, and thy grief towards me alone." As if these really negative feelings have power. And what better scapegoat of a character is there than the loathsome Dung Eater?
Right. Very, very true.
It
Very, very
also
true.
gives you it also gives you the power to use the Omen Regal Baron stronger, just like how I think the Hornset NPC robes do as well.
I see you. Sorry, I was reading a comment in the chat there for a second. Could you repeat that for me, Godwin, please?
Oh no, it's cool. I was just saying that the phrase that we get from Mesmer's armor, it says, "Direct thy maledictions, thine ire, and thy grief towards me alone." And I was thinking that these emotions have a power to them like magic, and that's kind of the point of Dung Eater, is he's absorbing all of these negative emotions and converting them into blessings. He's turning his curses into blessings. It's a whole uh,
Yeah.
huge culture of that, actually.
Yeah, I've heard you. You've actually like told me about that before too. That's an idea you've been on for a while. I dig that. I'm so like my thoughts on it are just so coded about just being angry at whether it's a class thing, a species thing, I don't know. But just the whole idea if the whole world is cursed, then nobody's cursed. And it just seems to be like just his entire point is to just F the world and just I don't know, eliminate that but not in like a noble way. Like just in a really, really messed up way. Like I don't even want to call him an anti-hero because of the way he's going about doing things. But yeah, he seems to have a problem with this regime.
I do
He's
wonder why. Sorry, on
no, go ahead.
his cutscene art, you know how we discussed how like grace lands on different specific parts of the picture, the image. So it kind of is environmental storytelling, like what exactly the grace is drawn to. And for Dung Eater, it lands on his heart.
Right.
Yeah, doesn't Bale have horns on his heart as well? I think.
I think the gravel is growing into. Not sure. I would need to check that item description, but yeah, those gravel stones are growing in in form of horns. Not sure if they're called horns literally.
I I was gonna say the actually no, it's okay. Go ahead. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Well, while you get it together, I will say that these people need to not be throwing poop because if you look, he's surrounded by them, and he doesn't have a mark on him. They have such bad aim; they're really just throwing crap at each other. If you really if you take a close look at this, at this picture.
But yeah, Godwin, Bale's heart is it said that heart of Bale the Dread, dotted with horn-like gravel stones. So they're not horns, but they resemble horns.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, I'm not sure why it goes to his heart. Maybe it's more of a spiritual thing.
Nobody to ponder on that one.
It's a good point. I mean, Annekki pointed out that, the grace appears over Gideon's eye branding, his little clothing line logo. I don't know, for Fia, the grace.
He had to decide behind her, as we discussed, that maybe it came for some other person, so she kind of looks back on the ending somewhere else.
Right. The grace appears between Sirash and Godfrey, or at least in Godfrey's armpit. Or maybe the grace is there for Sirash, and Horalu's just kind of along for the ride, given the nature of their living situation, so to speak. But yeah. So, in closing thoughts, because we gotta think about landing this plane here soon. What these Tarnished may have in common, what we know they have in common is that they're all resurrected to participate in this cycle. They are to brandish the Elden Ring. So does Grace think that Goldmask can march through the demigods and get there? Do they think Fia could have their heads and be able to? It's such a mystery to me. What? Because Gideon's plan I can kind of understand. Because to me, Gideon is gonna help everybody just get everything together, and then when it comes time for them to deliver the runes and the power and everything, they're just gonna stand in the hallway and trip them on the way in, and take everything and be the Elden Lord after that. But yeah, it just always kind of vexed me. What the two fingers of the Golden Order of Grace was expecting of this particular group.
Well, isn't it there a reason why there are so many Tarnished? And in a way, to an extent, we are all progressing in the same mission. And technically, they don't have to do things themselves, just like Gideon didn't do things himself. He used us to do all the dirty job, to only then cherry pick at the very end of our journey. And we see that Fia almost has the same setup. She has a simp army to clear the way for her. We see that Goldmask at least has one devout follower, so I presume that it's just he got
Did you say
enlightened
simp
to.
army? That is awesome.
Maybe I did. Maybe I did. Um,
Preach.
Whatever, Rattle. The man who yearns is the man who earns.
Oh
But
my god.
I was I was gonna say that Goldmask might have changed in the process. And then we do of course have Godfrey, who is already powerful enough, and he was the Lord, so he can for sure take out the demigods with his might. Yet it seems like even Godfrey is waiting for us to collect everything, only to backstab at almost the last moment before the throne. So it seems like all of them have some sort of different plan, and not necessarily they would walk around killing the demigods and collecting all the runes separately. Most of them seem to be scheming enough to wait for others to collect them for them.
Yeah, it seemed like Godfrey really didn't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just there. And yeah. I really like that though. That's good. That's a great summation of everything. And Simp Army is something I will never forget. That's great. I love that. Boss or NotGodwyn, do you have any closing thoughts on these Tarnished or what it takes to be a Tarnished? It's hard out here for a Tarnished.
I think it's just bad PR. I think it's this thing that permanently stains your honor. Something that's such widespread information that it changes how people look at you after you die.
Yep. Ooh, I do have one final thought. Maybe this could be good or bad. The Helfen staple and the red grays
That's great.
That
being
yes.
like I assume this red grays is another previous grays that was used whenever the Helfen was active, and it seems that this grays can be only seen by fallen warriors being led to the led to the Helfen. So it feels that Gray's Tarnish is only seen by fallen warriors. Maybe not literal warriors, because Roderick is not a warrior, or Diallos is not a real warrior, anyways, or Corin or Goldmask or Fia. But it seems that follows the same system of it needs a criteria to be active. So that's all I wanted to say. Didn't want to go too deep on the health and steeple.
It makes me think, is there a green grace? Is there a blue grace? Is there
Maybe in some previous age.
Well, I guess there is a blue grace, as blue is used in the DLC.
It's in Raya Lucaria as well.
Yeah. Interesting
Or
stuff.
Mikola trying to use a candlestick to invoke a guiding light as well. Maybe not called a grace, but his bootleg version.
And I guess for my last summation here is, man, you guys have really good ideas. So I'm gonna have to rethink a lot of stuff.
Oh, you do too, Rattle.
As far as the thanks, as far as the champions that are brought back, I think maybe it's like a culmination of power or knowledge that Grace is attracted to. As some of my other thoughts involving things like Great Ones, Outer Gods, sorry, wrong game, Outer Gods and such are have to deal with attraction to accumulated power, like the smell of meat to a carnivore. So I think Grace is kind of attracted to this kind of power that's garnered. Maybe it's like how Godwyn says, not Godwyn says, through emotions. Maybe it's through renown. Maybe it's a combination of all kinds of things, like your aura, your power level, so to speak, attracts the attention of divinity to the point where they need you to be the vessel. And then I think that the process of, again, when we first get our first item in the game, the grace, it says it's merely a cycle. Stand before the Elden Ring, or become the Elden Lord. I think this mechanic is being exploited and gamed, similar to raising kindling for the fire in Dark Souls 3, and how it comes along to Prince Lothric's turn, and he's like, nah, I'm not doing that. Like it's a divine thing and ritual that's been turned into a system and kind of just exploited for something else to keep power. And I think that something else to keep power is the two fingers in this case. And I've kind of always felt that way. As long as the Golden Order or the Greater Will and its reality, its rules are in place, the fingers maintain their position in power. And why? I don't know. I don't know if fingers buy Ferraris and cruise around the lands between and have riches and wealth or whatnot, or if it's just in pursuit of their own sustenance. But yeah, that's enough of my yapping. I'm going cross-eyed, as I'm sure other listeners are as they listen to us. I want to thank everybody now and in the future for chilling with us and tuning in and listening to us talk about Tarnished. If y'all have any comments as to what you think is in a Tarnished. These live VODs, you can leave comments in that too. Let us know what's going on. We'll read the comments and everything if you like. Yeah, we're here every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, non-Omen time. I really, really, really want to thank NotGodwyn and Annekkipu for coming back and doing this again. This is a long stream. Y'all are resilient, high endurance, high stamina folk, and you have a lot of really great ideas. Appreciate you joining Boss and I again on this talk about the Tarnished.
Yep.
But yeah,
It's great to be here.
Yep. Everybody, you can talk to us. You can talk to other fantastic lore champions in the Golden Inquisition Discord. It's a really great environment over there. And share your ideas. A lot of people have really cool ones. And yeah, thanks again for coming out. And we will see you all next time. Have a great evening.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.